Hello and welcome to a post-mortem election edition of the Ganja Geezer. It's the day after November 6th of the election, and as everyone knows by now, Amendment 64 in Colorado passed, and then the Initiative 502 in Washington passed. And I was going to post last night right after everything was called, but I've been mulling this over, went for a long walk this morning, and kind of came up with the theme for this video is what now? Well, first off, I want to congratulate Massachusetts for overwhelmingly voting in their medical cannabis initiative. That makes 17 states now, so kudos to them. That is a major victory. Okay, back on the idea of legalization. We've got legal weed in Colorado and legal cannabis in Washington. That's great, isn't it? After reading numerous comments on Facebook and Google+, it seems that many people think the legalized manufacture and retail selling of cannabis is a done deal here and in Washington. And some of the videos I've watched, the people are giddy, and I feel overly optimistic as to what's going to happen. I am, as your resident geezer, I'm going to be your buzzkill, or to use corporate speak, I'm going to manage your expectations. Last night, while waiting for the presidential speech, or the candidate speeches, Romney's concession speech and the presidential victory speech, NBC News on their streaming feed interviewed Governor Hickenlooper, the governor of Colorado. And as most of you know, he came out 2 months ago against Amendment 64. And during his interview, he wasted no time to say this is a federal issue, they're not going to stand for it. So right there, I got the impression that Governor Hickenlooper is not behind this at all, even though it's a mandate from the people. Not quite a mandate, 54 to 46, but still a very significant victory. If anybody can find that video, I don't have TV or a DVR or a cable and DVR, so I was just streaming and gone. If anybody found a copy of that video, it was him being interviewed on NBC around 11:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So I don't see him doing anything to expedite implementation. Now legally, once the vote is verified and certified, the count is certified, he has 30 days to vote into law. So the first good thing that's going to come from this is at that point, I would assume that day, if a policeman stops you and you have less than an ounce of marijuana on you, and you're not driving, of course, or anything like that, they can't do anything to bring you in. You are free to go. Probably shouldn't be waving it around in a baggie and smoking it, of course, but if it's just on your person, it shouldn't cause any issues legally. That is a very good thing. Now, that's going to happen right away, I assume. I'm going to look deeper into this, but I'm pretty certain that's going to happen. Now, what I've been seeing on Facebook and the videos and Google Plus is everybody saying, oh, within up to a year, you're going to be able to walk into a store and buy a pack of OG lights or something like that. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what they're thinking, and that I think is very unrealistic. And at the state level, I'm going to tell you why I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Number one, Hickenlooper doesn't support it. The administration doesn't support it. They're going to drag their feet. Number two, it's going to take significant state funds to implement. It's going to make money in the long term, but initially there's going to have to be money which doesn't exist in the state treasury right now. And so that money's going to have to come from somewhere. And three, this is interesting. I learned something last night. I mean, it's a completely unsubstantiated rumor, but according to somebody I talked to, Governor Hickenlooper is angling for a position in Washington, D.C. I don't know what that is. Is it in the Obama administration? I don't know. He seemed very happy last night. And the rumor is he will be leaving midterm and handing over the reins of power to the Lieutenant Governor Joe Garcia here in Colorado. So I don't see him having any incentive to rock the boat and risk this rumored career move. So I don't see any internal motivation to get this done anytime soon. So with this pessimism, you might be asking yourself why I seem so enthusiastic about voting yes on 64 if I'm so pessimistic about its actual implementation. Well, As I stated in the video a couple months ago on Amendment 64, the states need to send a message to Washington, D.C. and force their hand. Now we have 2 states, Colorado and Washington. Unfortunately, Oregon didn't make it, but 2 states. That's better than I thought we'd have 3 months ago. The status of state cannabis as legal or medically legal in several states and profoundly illegal at the federal level been existing as a precarious state for too long. It is not sustainable. Something has to give, and it can't remain in this weird schizophrenic state. And with Colorado and Washington now saying it's okay to buy weed, I anticipate Eric Holder, the Attorney General of the United States, or possibly he'll pass it down to what's her name, DEA agent, DEA head, Michelle Leonard, to issue some kind of position statement on the issue. They've been very quiet about this during the election. Now they're going to have to say something. It's been voted in 2 states. This is something they can't ignore. It may be a public address or statement, or most likely, I think it may be directed at the states in question, the governors in question. I anticipate this message to be, if you build it, we will come and knock it down. But this is not necessarily a bad thing, because the feds will have to defend themselves against this strong blow to states' rights. It's going to be a very public and bad blemish on the DEA to do this, and Eric Holder as the Attorney General. The political ramifications of such a decision are going to be profound. Remember, and this is an interesting piece of history, remember there were many states, I think 11 or 12 states during the 30s that repealed prohibition at the state level. I did not know this until about a month ago. New York and California among them. And so 11 or 12 states had already done what Colorado and Washington have done relative to cannabis before the 14th Amendment and the Volstead Act was repealed in 1933. There's another piece here that might help us. If you recall, in mid-October, the ASA, the Americans for Safe Access, had their lawsuit heard by a federal court in Washington, D.C., to reschedule marijuana from Schedule 1 down to, I think, Schedule 2 or 3. And the case has been heard, and if it wins, that would reschedule it and strike another significant blow to cannabis prohibition. This prohibition is going to be an incremental, the repeal of it's going to be an incremental thing. Legalizing it in Washington and Colorado is the second step if you include medical marijuana, but it's an incredibly significant step. So if the ASA position is voted in, or actually they win their case, and I'm dubious they will, but if it does, that decision should come down by the end of the year. They said it will take 2 to 3 months for that decision to come down. But in summary here, in my opinion, it's going to be years before we see Colorado or any other states see recreational sales of cannabis. And I saw a bunch of comments from 18-year-olds last night. Oh, I'm 18, I wish it was 18. It's a bummer, it's a 21 and over. I think you 18-year-olds, you're going to be 21 before you can actually walk in a store and buy it. Even with my pessimism, I think this is still a historic step. And the people of Colorado and Washington should be very proud that they have taken this step.
Yeah, what we gotta do.
Well, that's it for now. Goodbye, and stay medicated.
Yeah, what we gotta do. Gotta put them pushes right in the grave.